Okay, hello everyone. Okay, so the first program in chapter 5 is showChar method, right? I don't know if I should call it showChar or showChar. All right, so showChar method. So write a method named showChar. The method should accept two arguments, a reference to a string object and an integer. The integer argument is a character position within the string, with the first character being at position 0. When the method executes, it should display the character at that character position. Here is an example of a call to the method. So for example, if you call the method showChar and you pass in the first argument, which is a string, and you pass in the second argument, which is an integer 2, right? So 2 is basically going to give you the character at position 2. Now every string has a position or index, right? A position or index. So now this string has, so for example, the n in this string has an index of 0. So every string has every character in a string has an index. So starting from 0 all the way to the last character in the string. So this n has an index of 0, index or position. Okay, index or position, index of 0. Index of 0. And then E has an index of 1, W has an index of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so K has an index of 7. But if you pass in 2, you're basically telling this method to show you the character at position 2. So in this case, 0, 1, 2. So in this case, W has an index of 2, right? Yeah. So in this call, the method will display the character W because it is in position 2. Demonstrate the method in a complete program. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and so we're going to design a method and pass in a string, pass in an integer, and it's going to give us the character position that we pass in the string. So if we say 2 over here, that means that show us the character at position 2 of the string that we passed in this method. So I'll start and it will make sense as hopefully it makes sense as we do it. It should make sense as we do it. So I hope. Okay, so I'll create the class. I call it showChar, and then I'll create the main method. Okay, so for this program, you're not going to be using accepting user input, so we don't have to import the JOption pane or the scanner class. So let's see what the question says. So write a method named showChar. Okay, so let's do that. Let's start with that. Other programmers or other people, when they're creating their methods, they write it below the main method. But I'm going to write it above the main method. Just both ways are the same. Both ways work. I just sometimes like to write mine above it, just because it kind of makes sense that way. But again, you can write it below and it will still work. Okay, once you write it, it's available to it's available to the class. So anytime you call it in the main, it's available. So yes, I'm going to write mine above, but you can write it below. Okay, outside the main method. Okay, because it's a method on its own. All right, so write a method named showChar. So I'm going to create a public static method. So public means it's just a method that's public to code outside this class. Okay, and then static means that it's a method that belongs to this class. Okay, it belongs to this class. Yeah. All right. All right. So public static, it's not going to return anything. So it's going to return void. It's going to return nothing. Void. So public static void, and I'm going to call it showChar. All right. So it's not returning anything. It's a static and a public method. So public static void showChar. It's going to take in a couple of. So first, let me go ahead and create the structure. And it's going to take in a couple of arguments. The program says over here. So let's see. The method should accept two arguments: a reference to a string object, okay, and an integer. So a reference to a string object is going to be the first parameter, okay, the first parameter you're setting. So it's going to be a string, and I'm just going to call it string given, because that's going to be the string we're going to pass in as an argument. So we are setting the string given parameter to hold the string that's going to be passed in as an argument. The second is an integer. Okay, so I'm going to say int. I'm going to declare a parameter. I'm going to call it it's going to be an int, and I'm going to call it integer given. Okay, so it's basically going to be a parameter that's going to hold the integer given. It's going to hold an integer that's the integer that's passed into this method. So integer given is just going to be a parameter which is going to hold the integer given arguments. Okay, that's passed in to this method. So now we will have these two variables that we can go ahead and use in this method. All right, so the integer argument is a character position within the string, with the first character being at position 0. When the method executes, it should display the character at that character position. So they're giving us an example. All right, so what we want to do is basically display the character at this position in this string. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to call a system.out to display it. So system.out.println is going to display, okay, the character at position integer given, okay, at this position in the string. So I'm going to use this string given. String given is a variable sorry, it's a parameter variable that references the string that's going to be passed in. Okay, so string given dot char at. So it's basically displaying the character at position. The position goes here. The position is basically the integer given. Okay, so basically this is saying display the character at position. Okay, this is the position integer given in this string given. Okay, so yeah. All right, so basically that's going to be the method. All right, so I'm going to compile this. First it'll need me to, I haven't called the method yet. I'm just saving it just so we see if we have any errors. I'm going to go to where I save it. Just let's see. Desktop Java. Okay, I'm going to create a new folder for chapter 5. And yeah, this is going to be showChar. I called it. I'm supposed to make this capital, but it doesn't matter. Let me just do it here. Actually, to me, it does. I'm going to make it capital. Okay, it does matter, because I liked I name them capitals. Okay, but yeah, and I named the class the same as the method, which is not good. All right, so I'm going to make this a capital. And then make this probably a small, I don't know. All right, so showChar, I'll save it here, and it's because I have to name the class the same as the file name. This has a capital letter S, and this has a small letter S. The name of the class has to be the same as the name of the file, so I'm going to change this to capital S, then compile this. All right, so now the method has been defined. I haven't called it in main. Now main gets called anytime you run the program. So main is being called, but nothing is happening in main, although the method has been defined. So I'm going to go ahead and call the method the same way this was called, just to try this example. So I'm going to say showChar, because that's how I call that's how I defined the method. That's how I named it. And I'm going to pass in a string New York, right? And then the integer 2, just to see if it's going to display the character at position 2 of New York. So I'm expecting it to say 0, 1, 2, right? So compile this and then run. I'm expecting to see not 0, 1, 2. I'm expecting to show me the character at position 2, which is W. 0, 1, 2, which is W, right? So run this, and over here we see W. Over here we see W. I should have used the J option pane to display it, but it's fine. This kind of also works. So it's over here. It shows W. All right. So that means it works. Let me just over here make it look more nice. Okay. So I'm going to say over here. I'm going to say just going to be a string. I'm going to say the character at position. Since I have the values in the variable, I can use it. So the character at position, integer given. Okay. I'm going to continue the string and say in. Since I have the string in the variable, I can go ahead and use it. I can say in string given. Okay. And concatenate it with another string. Don't worry, I'll break this. Actually, let me go ahead and do that now. Break it now. So the character at position, integer given, in string given is and then it's going to go ahead and display the character. So let's compile this and try it and see. Now it says the character at position 2. I'm supposed to put a space here. Now it says the character at position 2 in New York is W. That's true. But what if I type in, let's say, character at position 22, right? New York only has 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 indices, right? So I can use 22. 22 is going to give me an error when I try to run it. See, it says the string index out of range. Okay, the string has a maximum index of 7. Okay, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and I put 22. So it says the string index 22 is out of the range of 0 to 7. So that's why it's giving me an error. So let's create. Let's check this 22 and then display the right message in the method. Once the user passes in this argument, this 22 argument, we can check it with a while loop, or basically, code. We can check it with a code to make sure that it doesn't run. So over here, I'm going to say that I'm going to say if. Okay, I'm going to create an if statement and say if the integer given, okay, is less than 0. First of all, it has to be less than 0. Sorry, it doesn't have to be less than 0. I meant it has to be less than 0 for it to prompt an error. So that's what I meant to say. But basically, if the integer given is less than 0, okay, we don't want anything less than 0. We want 0 to basically the highest or the maximum index of that string. So if the integer given is less than 0, okay, so or I'm using two pipes, the two pipes over here to represent the or. Okay, the or basically to represent or. So if the integer given is less than 0 and the integer given is greater than, okay, the highest index. Now, how do we find the highest index of a string? So assuming New York is our string, so the highest index of New York is, in this case, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The highest index of New York is 7. K has an index of 7, right? So we know how do we use code to find it. So for example, if I just remove this and the highest index of new, this word new is going to be 0, 1, 2. W has an index of 2 because N has an index of 0, 1, E has an index of 1, W has an index of 2. The highest index of this word is 2. The length of this word is 1, 2, 3, right? 1, 2, 3. And the highest index is 0, 1, 2. It's 2. So always the last index, okay, the last index of any string is the length of the string minus 1. Because the length of the string is 1, 2, 3, and the highest index is 0, 1, 2. If you take 3, which is the length of the string, and you subtract 2, and you subtract 1, you get 2, which is the last index, 0, 1, 2. If you take the length of the string, 1, 2, 3, and you subtract 1, you always get the last index of the string, which is 0, 1, 2. So that's a way to do that, right? So we want to say that if the integer given is less than 0 or the integer given is greater than the last index of the string. Okay, and the way to do that is we can use a string. We can say if the integer given is greater than the let's see. Yeah, if the integer given is greater than the string given dot length, which is basically going to return the length of the string. Okay, the length, which is basically going to return the length of the string minus 1. All right, the length of the string minus 1 always gives you the last index. Since these are working together, I'm just going to surround it with parentheses. And these two pipes are is basically the OR. It's the OR logical operator. Okay, so the OR logical operator. 2 pipes represents that. And since this integer and this whole thing is working together, I'm going to surround it with parentheses like this. So this is working together, and this is working together. Okay. So if the integer given is less than 0, or the integer given is greater than the length of the string minus 1, string given dot length minus 1. The string given dot length minus 1 is always the last index of the string. So if that's the case, then let's display a message and say system.out.println and say let's use something nice and say please enter an index of 0 to the last index of, we have the string in a variable, so I'm going to go ahead and use it, of string given, which is, okay, I'm going to concatenate it with the last index of the string, string given dot length minus 1. So please enter an index of 0 to the last index of the string given, which is the length of the string minus 1, which always gives us the last index of the string. So I'm just going to surround it with parentheses just to enforce it and keep it, and just be safe. I like doing that so that this calculation works together. All right. So if this is the case, if the index is out of range, then display this message. Else, then display this message. Else means that in that case, if this is not true, then that means that the integer given, or the index in this case, is in range. That means it's in range. It's in a proper range. That means it falls within the range, or basically the range of the indexes. So basically it's a valid index from 0 to the last index of the string. Right. So if the string given is invalid, the integer given is invalid, display this message. If it's valid, then display the message that the character at position integer given is this, and it's going to display that character. So let's test it. So I'm just going to stick with New York, and we'll change it around. We'll change it, and 22. I'll use the regular ones which we've tested, 5, just to check and see if it runs. So I'm going to compile this and pull this up and run it. Now it says the character at position 5 in New York is O. Right. So let's see, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it's true. 5 has index. The index of 0 is 5. Sorry, what did I say? What did I say? I'm sorry. So the index of 0 is 5. The index of O is 5. Okay, I didn't mean to say 0. Oh, it looks like 0. That's why I said that. All right. So yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. O has an 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, it starts from 0. Index always starts from 0. I don't know why I keep messing up. All right, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 0 has an index of 5. All right. O has an index of 5. I just said it again. Maybe I should just move on. O has an index of 5, so that's why this is correct. So the correct at position 5 in New York is 0. Let's try the correct at position 7, which is going to be K, because we know that 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we're expecting K. The correct at position 7 in New York is K. Now let's try something out of range, 8. We know that this index, the maximum index of New York, is 7. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It doesn't have an index of 8. So let's see what it says. See, please enter an index of 0 to the last index of New York, which is 7. So the last index is 7. So we know we're dealing with this range, 0 to 7. Please enter an index of 0 to the last index of New York, which is 7. I can go ahead and even change this string to something. So let's say K. And I can run this, compile this first, and then run it. Please enter an index of 0 to the last index of K, which is 2. The last index of K is 0, 1, 2. It's 2, that's correct. And if I enter, let's say, give me the correct at position 2 of K, 0, 1, 2, I'm expecting Y. So I'll compile this and run this. The correct at position 2 in K is Y. So I am calling the method in main. I'm defining the method outside main, but still in the class, and passing in the 2 arguments. This is the definition. This is me calling it. Again, you can paste this code. I'm going to cut it below main, and it should still work. So I'm going to compile this and then run it. The correct at position 2 in K is Y, and it still works. Okay, but I just sometimes like to define it above the main method. But anyway, sometimes I mix it up. Sometimes I define it below, sometimes I define it above. It still works. I'm going to take it back to where it was, up. All right, so we're done. If you have any questions, please please comment down below. Thank you very much for watching. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time with the next program. All right, bye-bye.